Hi creatives! Today we are back designing a brand all the way from research and creating psychographics to a finished brand that we can present to our clients. I'm so excited to create this brand because it's a kids clothing brand called Fox&Bear. You might know that I actually have a 2.5-year-old and I really love illustration work, so I'm hoping that we can incorporate some cute drawing into this concept, as well as all the other assets like logos and visual language that we're creating today. Let's get started. Once I've had all of the discovery meetings with my clients, the first process for me is always research and mood boards. I want to start creating a mood board where we can curate both ideas we found in our research, things that this customer cares about, and really get down to both visuals and motivations around psychology that will help us create a really effective design. The first place I like to look is the competition. So I usually like to ask my clients to name a couple competitors that they are aware of, but then I also use Google and social media to find similar companies. In this case, we're designing for parents who have young kids, like 0 to 5 years old. One of the trends that I can see when I look at competitors is this very boho, muted and natural aesthetic. We see a lot of beige, browns and mustard colors, and we also get a feeling that this is very much aligned with this trend of curating a perfect nursery, fitting the toys into the design of the rest of the home, for example. One theory behind this is the idea that too many colors can overwhelm children and that calmer colors lead to more focused play. On the other hand, it has also sparked this meme of beige clothing for beige children, making fun of how these perfectly curated clothes don't really look like they're made for kids playing or for having fun. The next thing I want to do is really get to the bottom of the psychographics of the parents. If you watched last week's video, we talked about the difference between demographics that are very basic stats, like your age or your income level, for example, and psychographics that really get to the bottom of why someone chooses to buy something. Social media is a great place for this because you can look at the comments of brands that have the same audience. So one trend I'm seeing a lot is that parents who have slightly older kids, like 2 to 5 years old, they wish that these really cute designs that stores have for babies would extend to older kids. And I think dressing our kids in really cute outfits is a really fun and kind of like a bonding experience for parents. So I totally get that parents want these cute illustrated designs for their older kids as well. A few other things I can see is that parents care about sustainability, durability, and sizes that can extend to fit your kids for longer. So I'll write all of this down in Mila Note where I keep all my research. Another point that I can pick up from the research is price sensitivity. With inflation being so high and salaries not increasing that much, parents with growing kids are struggling when they need to get new clothes that actually fit. So since long-lasting clothes are also important, I think we can look into creating a pre-loved program for the brand and also focus on clothes that have multiple sizes by changing the position of snaps, for example. Next up, I want to look for some photography that will work really well for the brand as a part of my mood board. I want photos that feel fun and genuine and that don't just feel so very staged. So I always look for both mock-ups and photos that show diversity because we just never have enough of that in design or marketing. Before we move on to sketching, I'll just want to look into some more research of how parents' day-to-day lives are, and there's a great study that I found on Google Scholar for this. We can see that stress and anxiety are two really common things for new parents, and this takes us back to the competitors a little bit. This perfectly curated design style can be a little bit more alienating, because most people with toddlers and babies at home don't have a perfectly curated home. It's lovely and difficult and kind of a chaotic mess. Take it from me. And seeing this style of design on social media, it can make you feel like you don't have it together as much as other parents, which is not true. So I want to take a different approach for the Fox&Bear brand. I want to look at more playful and colorful designs that feel suited to both parents and kids. And I'm also going to add in a couple more photos that feel a bit more messy and fun. Next up, let's sketch some ideas. So today I decided to sketch in Procreate because I wanted to play around with some more illustrated elements. This is a little time lapse, and as you can see, I started by looking at different options for the layout of the text. Since we have 2 words, I like to create a stacked lookup, but there are so many styles and you can also play around with the text and being able to have either text or an ampersand for the and. I want a word mark with a lot of character, but it should still feel timeless. So I also played around with some illustrations that we could either use as an icon or as patterns. Since we have a bear and a fox, I think the woods are a great inspiration and we can create a little cute character selection that would live in that forest. I really like quite a blocky style of lettering for this, almost like you stamped it. So this ampersand style is really appealing to me. You can also create these really cool symmetrical patterns in Procreate, so let me know if you'd like a video on that. Next up, we're moving into Adobe Illustrator to play around with the design and create vector versions of everything. I'm going to start with the ampersands because I think if we get that right, then we'll be able to find a font that matches. So it will be easier to choose which font will match the ampersands. I use the pen tool to recreate the design, and I always start with very few anchor points at first, and then I add more if the curves don't look as smooth as I would like. I use the pen tool rather than image trace the design because when we image trace, it usually creates a lot of anchor points and it makes the design a little bit harder to work with, but it also makes the file more complex. Now that we have the ampersands done, I want to find a good typeface as a base for the logo. I had a look at Envato elements and I found a few that I think might work. This first one is one called Kids Magic, but I can see right away that it's way too messy for what I'm going for, and I also don't like how it kind of is mixing the upper and lowercase letters. I want to test out the kerning and see if that makes it any better, and also all caps, but I'm just not feeling this one. So let's try another one. This one is called Daddy Ranch, and I really like the block letter feeling, but the edges feel a little bit too sharp, so I'm going to try to see if it looks better rounded. Okay, I think that looks good, but the ampersands look like the weight needs to be a little thicker, so I'm gonna try adjusting that with the pen tool. Okay, that looks okay, but I'm gonna try one more typeface that I found. This one is called Cartoon Nature, and I really like how playful it feels. If you watched my design style here before, you know that I usually stick with more classical typefaces, but I really wanted to create a fun kids brand for a long time, so I'm gonna see what we can do with this. I really like these little scallops because that makes it look like the letters have little paws, so it fits really nice with the Fox&Bear idea. However, I do think they look a little bit too messy to me, so I want to first remove all these little white lines, and then I want to clean up the lines and curves so that we keep just enough of the personality, but we make the design look a bit more polished. Okay, that feels much better to me now. But the ampersand feels really square, so I want to try adding the little paws here as well. Looking at it, I think it might even be cute to add little foot pads to the bottom one, so I'll give that a try. Okay, now that is really cute. I think we'll leave them off the logo when it's combined with a word mark because it might be a little bit too small to see. But we can have just the ampersand as an icon with the foot pads. So last touch, I'm also going to add some little indications of hair to show that this is a kind of a type of character. Now let's have a look at some colors. So I want the colors to feel bright and happy, but not garish, and a little forest inspired. I have some in mind that I often use for my sticker design, so I'll try a version of them here. Okay, so I think they look super cute, but the pink feels a little bit more muted, and we want to remember the research that we did and not being too muted in our designs. So I think the slightly brighter pink works a little bit better. So I showed this design to my partner, and he said that it might be a cute idea to make the little tail that you have in the ampersand a little fox tail, so I want to try that out. I also want to make sure that I don't overdo it with the styling or the characters, so I'm just going to test it out. So much of getting to the right design is just trial and error, isn't it? In this case, I don't think I can make it look like a foxtail without making it look a bit too big, so I think I'll skip it, but if you want to have a play around, I would love to see your designs on social media. So now that we have the logo variations done, I want to get back to this pattern and see if we can create some visual language assets. I just used the pen tool here as a way to create 1/4 of the pattern and then duplicate it. But I do know that Illustrator recently made a pattern function, so I'll have to check that out for next time. I have this idea of using just the paw as a design element to make the design more fun, but also to draw attention to key information. So I'll grab a photo to see how we can create something cute. One of the key things that I found in our research was how parents wanted cute designs in bigger sizes and clothes that can grow with your kids, so I want to make a little stamp for that. Okay, so I just spotted that this could look like a cute snail, and I really want to build out that forest world that the company can have as a little universe. So let's make this guy a little informative snail. Since we want to tie in the messaging here, I really want to have a think about how we can use the right descriptions to kind of convey these values of sustainability, playfulness, and how it works with real life. So I think something like the tagline could be clothes made for real life. And then we could use the line clothes made for as a kind of way to introduce different concepts. So like clothes made for playing, clothes made for adventures. And that could be a really fun way to tie in that messaging together. Whenever you're creating a visual language, we're just trying to recreate and reuse different elements. So these little scallops, for example, are a great way to bring in that texture, that pattern that will make it recognizably this brand without just having the logo there. I absolutely adore this photo. I think it's so cute and it feels very in action, which I like. Next up, I want to create some mock-ups. One of the mock-ups is going to be just a plain logo on a t-shirt, which is just a great way to show that the logo is really fun and a branded asset that they can use. I also want to use these little cute forest creatures that we have designed when we were playing around with the logo, and I think we can combine the design of those different little characters together with some of the elements from the bigger pattern, like the little leaves, the little hearts, and see how we can create that into a pattern that has enough elements going on for it to not feel too repetitive, but still be quite simple and not have too many characters all at once. So I decided to go for this little acorn, this little bee character, and a sun. They all feel like they are really indicative of the woods and a really positive vibe. So I'm going to use the colors that we have in our logo and just create this repetitive pattern that we're building it out in a kind of more organic way. So you could definitely just make one section and duplicate it. But in this case, I wanted to play around with actually making it just exactly the layout that I needed. So let's put this on a mock-up as well and see how that looks. This one is super cute. Okay, so next I want to make a little tag to show this whole concept of the multiple sizes and get to use our little snail. And so I'll put him on the front, and then I also want to have some more information about the sizes, about the sustainability and the values of the company. So I'll play around with the layout and I'll put that on the back of the mock-up as well. So here are the finished designs for the Fox&Bear clothing brand. If you really enjoy these design along with me videos, I actually make quite a few and I put them all in a playlist, so I'll make sure to link that here for you if you want to go check them out. I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who is here supporting the channel, subscribing, commenting, and just watching the videos. It's so much fun creating them, and we basically doubled the channel in 1 month. So I really love hearing all of your thoughts on the videos and the comments and seeing what you guys find most interesting. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your projects and see you next time.